Welcome everybody. In this particular project, we are going to be displaying the hexadecimal code associated with a color. Now, the understanding is that whenever you are designing a website, you would have to use many variations of the color components or color elements that are available. Now, most of the times it is not easy for us to get the color codes. Now, there are basic colors like red, green, orange, purple, magenta, violet. Now, these colors are straight colors. When I mean straight colors in the sense that when you say red, you get perfect red. That's it. When you say blue, you get a perfect blue. Now, between that perfect blue and with the other colors that would really augment the page, the difference is that the variations are not all that easy to obtain. Now, what I mean to say is that now if you were to use red, you get flat red, or I should say straight red, but you can tweak that red into giving its other aura or other element of brightness that are placed or that are hidden deep within red. So that is only possible if you have the information on the hexadecimal code. That's simple as that. If you don't have hexadecimal code, you won't be able to generate that color. Okay, so having mentioned that, as usual, there are two components in this particular project. Component one is the display of random numbers. Now we are going to be using random numbers. It's a built-in function in JavaScript, and we are going to display the associated colors connected with the random numbers. So first, I will show you how exactly we could get those random numbers. So I hope you can see the screen. Now first we will go to File, and then we will say we got a file there, so we will save it. Now I have a Java project file. As you can see, in this case, this is the folder that I have created, hexadecimal color code displayer. So I'm going to right click on it and name this file as index, change the specification to HTML, and then you save it. So this is for the index file part. If you want CSS, you can include CSS. And if you want to have JavaScript as a special folder, you can do that. But since this project is of beginner's level, what I intend to do is I would like to place the script directly and onto the index page, onto the index file, and then execute it. The main reason is that people who are learning this tool, JavaScript tool, would be in a better position to easily follow it, right? Instead of moving off and creating a special folder and linking it. We can do that later on in this course. So for now, it's always better to run the script within the HTML page. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So as usual, we place an exclamatory mark and press tab. We get the boilerplate. In the boilerplate, I like to give a title, hexadecimal color code displayer. And then if you want to link CSS file, you can link CSS file. So link rel is equal to style sheet, and type is equal to text/CSS, and then href is CSS/style.css. I'm not going to be using any CSS, but this is the standard procedure. So as usual, I'll start off with div class is equal to container, and then div class is equal to wrapper, and then I will say h3 hexacode displayer tool, right? Something like that. And then I will give a button Okay, button button, id is equal to btn, and then on click, when you click, you got to activate a function, right? So in this case, you're not going to actually have click event being triggered. Now, whenever you use click event, the function that you're going to write, they are all called as plain functions. That means they have no complications. There is a process in which the function gets evaluated. But I'm not going to write that function. I'm going to write a special type of function which gets triggered the moment JavaScript is parsed. Now, the meaning of parsing is that I just use the terminology parse. So the definition, let me give you the explanation of parsing, is that is nothing but the conversion of a program into an internal format that a JavaScript environment has the potential to actually run it, right? So that is what is called as parsing. But when we say JavaScript parsing, so that it means the program is converted into an internal format that allows the JavaScript environment to actually execute it. So having made that point clear, I want to have a function that is fired immediately, right? Now that function has to be written in the following manner. So let me show you how to write that function. So over here, I'm going to say click here, something like that, and then I'm going to start the function. So the function is started by the script. We have the script, and this is the function. It is a plain function, but before the function, I'm going to place parenthesis, a curly parenthesis. So this would immediately convey to the JavaScript engine to fire the function instantaneously. That's the exact nature of it. So if the starting point is placing a parenthesis like this and then starting the function, and I'll show you how to end the function. You give a space and then open the code. Now I'm going to declare the variable. Okay, so you can declare the variable by two ways, either by using const. In fact, by three ways are possible. The most popular ways that we've been using is const and var. And the third way is to use let keyword. So in fact, there are three ways by which the variable can be defined, and those three ways are const, var, and let. So having made that point clear, let me move on. Now, whenever you use const, it means there is no change. Okay, so that is the speciality of the const keyword. So what I will do, I will use the const keyword here, and then I will say button is equal to document dot query selector. Okay, and then we take the button ID. So the ID is btn, right? So this is the button we have got. We are utilizing it, so that's fine. And place a semicolon, and then you give another thing, const body. So we got to change the color here. So document dot query selector. So that is also critical. So we have the body there. So that also has to be captured. And after the body, we need hexadecimals, right? So const is equal to x values. So I'll say x values is equal to, I'm creating a list. So the hexa values are taken as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So digits from 0 to 9 are used to generate the hexa values. Now you might be wondering, what is this? This guy is saying hexa values and he is giving 10 digits. No, the understanding is that these 10 digits are used to create those 6 values. That is the understanding, right? So I need to get rid of that equal to sign. So Having got that, I also need to have some letters. So the letters used would be A, B, C, D, E, F. Right, so these are the letters. So along with these 10 digits and these 6 characters, 6 letters which are placed here, these would be combined to produce those 6 characters. That's the best word to say, and you are going to see it. So next is const value. This is again a variable, so I need to display that. So for that, I have to have output, right? Output text. So for that, what I will do is I will just go over here and then say h4 id is equal to display, right? Play. That's fine. So over here, the hexadecimal code will be displayed. So for that, I need to capture that. So we need to have a document dot query selector of that ID. The ID is display. So that's fine. So as of now, we have declared these variables, and we need to actually trigger the click event. So how do we trigger the click event? So the moment the button is clicked, something should happen. Right, so I'm going to show you how the click event is triggered. Now, before the click event is triggered, we need to also have a function that is created. So let me just give a comment here. Okay, this is where the click event is triggered. I'm not going to right away show you the change in colors. That would mean this lesson is incomplete. I'm going to show you how the hexadecimal code is first displayed, and then from then onwards, as I mentioned to you, this lesson has got 2 parts. The first part is to understand how to get that hexadecimal code. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you here. So over here, I will initiate the button. So I have given that button there, button dot add event listener, and we will have a click there, and once the click takes place, this is going to be change hexadecimal code. So this would be the function that we are writing. So I will just copy this, and then I will come over here, and then I'll say start of the function. So we start the function with the keyword and then the name of the function, open and close the parenthesis and create the block, and then I have to start the code with hash. So I'm going to use the keyword let x be equal to that hash, right? So this is like taking let a be equal to 0. Whenever we are adding processes, we always say that, right? Let a be equal to 0, b be equal to 0, yes be equal to 0, something of that fashion. Now I'm going to create the for loop, okay? Because the for loop is the one that's going to keep on stacking up the values. So for let I be equal to 0 and I less than 6 entries have been placed here. We need only 6 executions. So 0 to 6 is not going to be executed, and I say 6 is not going to be executed, it's actually 0 to 5. So that's how the for loop works, and then you augment it, and then you start the for loop. Now in for loop, I need to have a variable, okay? So const index is equal to math.random. This is what the most important function. Math.random, well, let me show you what happens. Math.random, and then I will say document.write of index. I'll just show you what exactly happens so that you are in a better position to know that. So this is what I'm giving. This is the first step. So the button, the moment you click the button, the function is triggered. If you remember, I said I have started this and I'll show you how to end it. So when you want to end this, right? When you want to end this, you will have to end this in this following fashion. Because for this parenthesis, for this, you see that there is a parenthesis here. So come over here all the way there. So you place a parenthesis first, and then this is another parenthesis, the curl parenthesis for this parenthesis. And after that, you have to follow it up with two curls like that. Probably you can give a space and you can save it. So this is the basic function for this particular project, and there isn't much new in this. So now I'll show you how to execute it. So I'm going over here. So the idea here is to show you how the random numbers are displayed. So I'm going to this place. You see that hexadecimal code displayer tool. This is the heading that we gave. And when I click on this, you see that this is the random numbers that are being executed. Now, when we say random numbers, you see that the numbers are displayed between 0 and 1. So this is the first number, the second one, you see the second one, and then the third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one, right? Fifth one, and the last one is over here, sixth one. Okay, so this is the way the random numbers are generated. But since we have given the for loop, this is how it is displayed. Now, I don't want those series of numbers being displayed. So I need to do a small change. So what change should I do? Now, if you can see that we have declared these hexa values, right? So what I will do is I will multiply the random numbers by the x values. Unless or until we give the special operation dot length, it will not work. So the reason I included is, okay, we are extracting the values in the list, but just by placing the hexadecimal as a product, it wouldn't work unless we include this method dot length. So let me just go back here and refresh the page and hit it. Now you see that this is the value that we are getting. See, initially it was all 0 zeros. If you remember, it's all started with 0 0. So now it is actually starting with 9. Now let me just go up one step further and put a flow function there. Okay, math.flow. I'm just showing you step by step what happens when these are included. So with this, we would only get the flow. Okay, so I'm saving it. Let me go back and refresh it and show you. Now 1, 2, 3, and then you have a 6 and a 7 and a 8 and a 9 and a 10. Now probably it will be better that we do some breaking. So every time we print it, let's have a break here. Okay, so I will say document.write, and I will put a break and save it and check it out. Okay, so now it's more clear. So 9, 6, 0, 14, 12, 11. So these are the codes that are being displayed. And how are these being displayed? They are being displayed using the math.random. And the reason that we are not getting any decimal component is because of the flow. And the reason we are getting 9, 10, if you can see the output, we are getting 9, 6, 0, 14, 2, 11. These are possible because of the values that we have taken here. Okay. And as I mentioned to you, the hexa values have got a list like this. Okay, it's got such a list, but that would not have any purpose if we not using this dot length. So have that in mind. If you're not utilizing this dot length, nothing is going to be presented onto the output section. So the values are taken and they are displayed. Now, but this is not of much use to us because you can clearly see the values are displayed one after the other and they are not 6 digits in size, but we need to obtain that 6 digits in size. So how are we going to obtain it in 6 digits in size? Simple. What I'm going to do, instead of saying document.write.index, I need to actually augment it. If you clearly see here, I need to have a presence of a hash there. So what I will do, I will just say x plus is equal to, and then x values is this, right? So this is the list that is being declared. So I'm going to say X values, and I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to pass this index inside. So this is what exactly I'm doing. I'm just getting the value and passing the value as an argument to the list, and that would be augmented along with this hash, and we are getting it printed. So I'm going to save that and go back here and refresh the page, and then I click here. You can clearly see the first time it's F, and then it is FE, and then FE6, and then FE60, and then FE603, and then FE603C. So this is the hexadecimal code. And where are we getting it? Every time the value that is got here is sent in as an argument here, and this is the list. So all of the values are picked up from this list, and since we got X plus equal to, it's being augmented. So that is the understanding I wish to bring to your attention. Now we are not going to be utilizing it just like that, so I don't need this. I want to take this off. Okay, now I'm going to show you how exactly we can display this value onto the page, right? I've already shown you the way in which the code is generated, but now we need to get this value onto the page, right? This is not the effective way. Document.write is not an effective way. This is just a tool by which we can test things out, right? It's like console.log. So I'm taking out this, and I will bring this inside, and then there is a special way. Now if you would have seen here, I have already captured this display ID, right? On the H4 I've already captured it using this variable value. Now we can use that same variable, and we can say value dot text content is equal to X. So this will bring the value onto the very browser, or I should say onto the very page that we are dealing with. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to show you how the value is generated. So this is the page, we're refreshing it, I'm clicking it, I'm getting the value. You see that value is onto this page that we are working on. Now if you were to go and refresh this, again there is a change. You see that? Refresh, refresh, refresh. So many codes, so many different codes are getting displayed. Okay, so that is for that display of the code. But now we need to show the respective color, right? And that is what enhances the project's value, because people like that visual interaction. Now for that we need to use the body. So body.style.background color. Now this is a built-in method, and you pass the exa into this. So the moment the exa is received, this method would get fired, and the color would be displayed. So I'm just going to save it, and I'll go to the page, refresh it, and then I say click. Now this is the color code, and the color is displayed. You see that? And again I refresh it. This is the color code, the code is displayed here. You see that the color and the respective color code is displayed. Again you refresh it, again you refresh it. So you see the different variation. The previous one had a slighter variation, or I should say a lighter variation of magenta, and this one has got a slightly intense variation. So you refresh it, you see that? You get a different color. The color and the respective color code. So you refresh it, and then you go on, you see that, you see the variation that we are producing. So this is a lovely way by which we can build our profile with regard to the development of applications of JavaScript. Now you might be wondering, initially I started off by telling you that we were going to place this parenthesis and then following it up with the completion of this parenthesis, and I mentioned to you this function gets fired the minute the code gets parsed, and I also explained to you the meaning of being parsed. Now that very act is senior. Now the moment you activate this button, click event, the page is automatically, or I should say dynamically, gets updated, and that is only possible because of the function that I have designed. So have that in mind. So having said that, you can use your coding creativity and get enhanced with regard to the project. The same project, you can tweak it a bit more in producing some variations. Say for example, I can suggest you one idea. Say for example, you can have a color picker, right? You can have a color picker and create this entire thing in a small window and allow users to pick the color. All they need to do is to come to that window and click on it, provided you give this button over there. Create a button with some CSS attached to it, and you can put this on the page, and people can simply come and click on it, and JavaScript will take control. That's all you need to do, and this would greatly enhance the entire web page, or I should say the entire site. If you are planning to have a site, you can do that. So having given this project, students, it's really a beautiful project, and I hope you practice this and increase your JavaScript skills. Thank you, everybody.